what is the time period to which the next founder should reach out for the funding?
So that's a secret sauce. How do we select? But I will tell you today.
Yes, so you have been in this space investing in the startups and helping startups also in the part of mentoring where the most of the startups lack. So how do you first of all select the startups for at 100x VC and get them into the mentoring and investing stage?
So that's a secret sauce. How do we select? But I will tell you today. Uh, that's exactly how, from 14,000 pitch decks, which we have received over the last 2 years, we've selected only 60. It's a big number we get, and we see each and every pitch deck, but we've selected 60. We see a couple of things. Firstly, the size of the market. We want to check if the size is large, very large enough and growing. We look at the founders. Are these the founders who will be able to execute well? Look at their moat. Do they have an IP, a separate business model? And finally, we look at are these the guys who will make money for us? Are these the guys who will scale properly? So these are roughly very broad parameters of how we look at selection process.
That was quite interesting. And also, you introduced the concept in India of mentoring along with investing. So how do you came up with this thing? Basically, how we would be mentoring startups and helping them apart from investing too.
So it's not just mentoring, it's mentoring unlimited is our slogan. So it's not just 2 hours a week. You can take as much time as possible. I think God has been kind that I've had a long experience with companies, run a listed company, was head of a global multinational. That has given me a lot of insights into scalable businesses, how to run businesses which can scale rapidly. So all these learnings, I'm putting it into place with the startups we fund. I'm helping them figure out how they can utilize some of my learnings to help them to scale. So investment is not about just about putting money; it's about the intangibles. And I dare to say that our intangibles are far, far greater than the actual money we put in.
Exactly. That's the mentoring unlimited part. That's the founder
Yeah.
get. That's true. Sir, if if there is a founder who applied for 100x VC and or any other venture firm and gets rejected, the founders often failed or question themselves about the startup. So, what would be the mindset at that point of time? The founder should have.
If you're rejected, doesn't mean you should feel dejected. Both are not connected. If you're rejected, doesn't mean that you have a damn good idea and no one is understanding it. It's about how are you pitching the idea? How are you positioning the idea? The global average before you get the first check or a check is 65 meetings. Have you done 65 meetings before feeling dejected? If not, you have to keep going on and on. And that is average. It could take 100 plus meetings, and you could be lucky in a couple of meetings you could get. But this is the average, so don't lose heart. Today there is a lot of VCs looking at good deals. You are fortunate. You are born in an era where money is chasing good ideas. Uh,
That's
if you have a great idea, you will get funded. You have to figure out how to pitch properly, meet the right VCs who understand the thesis, and you explain your product offering properly.
That's true. That's true. Sir, I'm truly excited for this one podcast because we were also selected in 100x VC Gurukul cohort 2, and it's going on right now, and getting great
Great,
stuff from there.
great.
And you
Good.
know,
So, just to kind of add to that, our Gurukul is a not-for-profit initiative. I'm glad you're in cohort two. We wanted to give back to the startup ecosystem, and a way of giving back is Gurukul. We want to share knowledge.
sir, there are startup founders who are building cool stuff, and the I often hear from the founders that they do not have some technical person or technical member or something like that. So, what would you suggest to them if they are building something technical product and they do not have technical co-founder or founder along with them?
find one. If you're not able to find one, come to 100x. We have another free event on 11th November. I don't know if you're familiar with the importance of 11th November. 11th number is taken as Global Singles Day, 11/11, right? So if you're single, that's the day you celebrate. But more importantly, if you're a single founder looking for a co-founder, come to our website. It's absolutely free. We do it. We've called it Founders Dating. You can you'll have people who apply who want to become co-founder and people who are single founders. We try to do the matchmaking.
That's a great initiative, and I would recommend many startup founders should go ahead and register for the same. And also, sir, there was a question that I got from a startup founder that he has he's told us that it is the most difficult thing to get the first check, whereas there was another founder who told that it is quite easy to get the first check, but it is difficult to get the series A round. So what would be your take on that?
Nothing is easy. If it was so easy in life, there wouldn't have been challenges. We at 100x write the first check. So if you're looking for the first check, apply to us at pitch at 100x.vc. We will review a pitch and get back to you. Every stage has its own challenges. Uh, and you will hear only success stories in the newspapers and only stories which have gone smoothly. But that is one exception. It is an exciting journey. You have a great idea, you will get funded.
That's true. I recently heard somewhere also that you cannot climb a mountain with a smooth slopes. The
Perfect, absolutely correct.
the founder's journey is always like that, only that they have to climb a rough mountain along the journey to reach at the height.
True, true, true.
Yes, sir. So I would, what the advice you would give to the founders if you are founding a startup and you are at the 20 years old or a young person, what would the advice or what would be the suggestion you would be giving to yourself to build a thing?
I wish I could go back in time and be 20 years in 2021. But yes, assuming I am that, I think there are a couple of things. Yeah, firstly, don't fall in love with your product. Uh, I would say don't fall in love with your product. Fall in love with a human being, your partner, but not with your product. You think it's a great idea. It's the next best thing after sliced bread, and you just think because the product is so good, it's just going to fly off. Doesn't happen in real world. It has to be marketed properly. Customers have to accept it. You have to change customers' behavior, or you have to do something to ensure that you get customers. Fall in love with customers. And then after that, once you have some MVP in space, and if you see that customers are accepting it, the next big thing is you have to figure out how to scale your business. If you want to become an entrepreneur and lead a good life, don't go for funding. Become an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong in just being an entrepreneur. The difference between both are entrepreneurs, the difference between a pure entrepreneur and a startup entrepreneur, startups are businesses meant to scale. Startups are not businesses which will give you just a decent living. Nothing is wrong. Both are great, but you have to make a choice. So the second part is figure out a business model which scales rapidly. It has to scale. If it doesn't scale, you won't get funded because it's not a startup.
Exactly. And sir, also there right now in the current scenario, there is a situation going on that everyone wants to raise early. There is something like that because we see many founders raising at the age of 20, 19, and or maybe early. So there is a race, or I see it as a race that many founders come in and just they start pitching and they start, I have to raise, despite of knowing their product and despite of knowing their what they are building. So what would you suggest to them?
Well, it's possible to raise money at any age if the idea is good and it's scalable. But raising money is not an end in itself. When you raise money, you have to start executing on that. So remember, you take responsibility for it. It is a means to an end, and an end is fundamentally to build a huge business.
That's true. That's true. That's true, sir. So you have been partnered with, partner of 100x.vc. So if suppose a brilliant startup approaches to you and sends you a pitch deck, but the startup has a great storytelling and everything is there, the team is also there, but what the startup lacks is the competition. That there is no competition. They are the first mover in the market. So what would be the reaction from a point of view of an investor to them?
So we have funded startups which have, either first in the space, doing pioneering stuff. We have funded 60 so far, and most of them are doing something fairly new. It's not that we do not fund companies which have serious competition and are better at it. So my reaction is yes, we like it. Now tell me how you're going to scale the business.
That's true. That's that's a core essence of being a startup founder. That how will you be scaling the business?
That's right.
That's true, sir. Sir, also, there are many startup founders that are looking for the co-founders. That's the startup dating part. But the startups often get confused in distributing the equity or like between the founders, how to manage them, how to distribute the equity, whether to pay them, and what are the scenarios in that case? How do you look at that?
So you have to be careful not to distribute too much equity. We sometimes get startups which have given liberal amounts of free equity to advisors. I'm not saying we should not give, but it has to be very, very tightly managed. As a startup founder, you have an idea and you have an equity table. These are the only two things you have. Now, how are you going to manage both properly? Idea you can manage by having a business model of scaling. Equity, if you start giving, once you give, it doesn't come back. It's a very labored process. So you have to be very careful how founders obviously can have equity, and whatever ratio you decide to split amongst yourself is fine. But outside of that, if you go to raise your first check and you've already diluted more than double digit, for example, it is very, very tough to raise money. You have to be very careful. And talking about earning from a startup, now startup, I've always said a startup is a journey of wealth, not a journey of income. If you want income, there are plenty of jobs available today. The job market is so hot. Why do you want to do a startup? It's a simple question. There has to be passion, reason. I want to build a great company. All this takes time. Are you ready to have subdued income for many years to come? Then you have to do a startup. It's not that you cannot take salary, but it will have to be at a very level which the startup can absorb, and which clearly means it will not be the same as what you would have got if you'd taken a job. It will be substantially lower, substantially lower. But at the end of it, it's an accelerating journey. It's an exciting journey. It's a journey you'll enjoy.
That's true. That's true. So the salary is just to, to maybe the fulfill the basic needs that
Correct.
the founder may have.
Correct. Very true. Very true. And if you have that mindset, it's not at all difficult.
That's true, sir. And sir, what are the, importance of incubation and accelerators in the journey of a startup and before reaching out for the first check?
So they play a very critical role, in the entire journey. They are, if you have just an idea, don't know how to build it, you want to bounce it off some people, you want people to help you. Both of these people help. I think there are a lot of incubators now in India, and go to incubator which you think is right for your product and your thesis.
Exactly, exactly. I also see many incubators that the people have set up and they do not do the what they are meant for actually, and they are just for the equity purposes of what they are do. So the startup should always reach out to the founders who have been
Yeah.
incubated from the incubation.
Yeah, your network, reach out to your network, check their experience, what has happened, what has not happened, and then accordingly take a decision.
That's true. That's true. So I think you right now also highlighted that reach out to your network. So what the importance of a good network in a founder's journey and how does it affect him?
Well, the young generation has understood the art of network. All the social media is all network. It's not no longer limited to a physical location. And the more network you have, the more number of people. If you're studying in a college, you have the entire college. There's alumni or people below your batch. You can reach out to anyone. No one says no to a request. Shamelessly reach out to people from your batch, obviously, from people who have been an alum and who are in some respectable position. Reach out. They will respond to you. 99%. There will always be 1% who will not reach out. But yes, 99% they'll reach out.
That's
They'll
true.
help you. They'll help you.
That's exactly true. As Steve Jobs has also put up the same, that you should be shameless to reaching out for the help of somebody when
Correct.
needed.
Yeah.
That's true. Also, sir, we have talked about the founders part, that how the founder should raise and how everything that. But what aspect from an investor point of view? How does an investor, invest into startups? If any one of the podcasts has been watched by any investors, so what advice do you give them? Because I saw investors that wish that every startup they invest in would be the next unicorn or would be the next 100 CR company. So what would be the advice that you would like to give?
So, investors invest, and it's not that overnight they take out the money. So they wait for a couple of years, and then they disinvest. But that's the only commodity we have as investors. Our commodity, only asset we have is money. Of course, people behind us, but that's the only thing which we deal in. Obviously, when an investor is investing, looks at how good is the founder, is this idea which will totally take off, and importantly, will this founder make money for me? After a couple of years. So investor certainly looks at the last, which is the most critical item on her or his mind.
That's the vision where the founders want to lead the company.
Sure.
Yes, sir. So, sir, you told about that the investors look into the patient, that part of the startup. But I often see that the startups or the investors, they usually negotiate too much on the equity part, and that's true. They should. But sometimes I see that the investors that put up that they would be taking a vague example that the startup has been raising 35 lakhs and they have taken the equity around, they are willing to dilute around 5%, but the investors are asking for 25% because the startup is do not have that much of traction and they are just at the initial stage. So should the startup go with the investors if the mindset matches with the investors, if they are in the same vision, or they should look out for the another investors before going with him or her?
Well, look at the iSafe model, which we have pioneered in India. iSafe full form is India's simple agreement for future equity. Just to solve the problem you're mentioning, just to cut down 6-month process, just to have an instrument which is so founder friendly, specifically designed for India, we've designed iSafe. Have a look on our website. It is a convertible note. There are no lengthy shareholders agreements, and it can be signed off within a day. So, in such a situation, you need to look at models like iSafe. We open sourced it, so you can check it on the website, download it, and use it for investment.
Oh, that's great. The startups can reach out to 100x.vc and they can look out over there for this.
Just go on our website, 100x.vc/iSafe, and you'll find tons of material explaining how it works, sample agreements, everything.
That was pleasure, sir, to share these documents over that such openly. So the next part is that the startups often, prepare these documents by themselves that are needed over there in the fundraising part or any other part, something like that. Either it's, the documentation part or either it's pitch deck or financials. They often try to prepare all these things by themselves. So should they reach out to someone who is having a better exposure or to an expert who is building such things from a couple of past time?
No, you should not, because this has implications. ISAFE is a simple agreement and it's a standard document, so you don't need to reach out to anyone. But if you're signing a detailed SHA, shareholders agreement or something, you need a lawyer or a consultant to help you. Outside of iSafe, you should certainly consult someone.
Even for pitch deck or financials, what would you consider?
No. Pitch deck financials are not at all. You can do it on your own. You don't need a consultant to do it. If you need a consultant for your pitch deck, there's a problem.
I got
Yeah.
it. That's
And this financials are nothing. It's not rocket science. You don't need a deep financial consulting to figure out your numbers. Then again, it's a problem if you're not sure of what you can deliver, because these are broad numbers which are looked at.
That's true. That's true. And also, sir, if it's just a question out of curiosity. In the 100x.vc Gurukul, you asked a question that what would be the reaction if you went out the space, and what would be the one word that you would give over there. So, what would be yours if you would be there?
You're not supposed to ask me all this. I'm supposed to ask you.
That's
No, I would just say magical. It's magical. I love the concept of magic. Magic can do anything. Software is magic. Technology is magic. Startups are magical. So I love to be in this magical world.
That's the question out of the curiosity that was checking in my mind. Also, sir, the Gurukul part has been, really exciting journey, and it's been going on where we are learning from great experts over there how to build a roadmap and everything from that scratch. So the initiative is a non-for-profit initiative, and there
That's
are
right.
founders who are paying for such great content to other things, and uh, maybe they are not aware, or maybe they are, but they haven't applied or something like that. So, building out such things at a non-profit initiative. What was the motive behind this such things, and the thing that we have to do for the founders, because it seems like that.
So it's although Gurukul is an open platform, it is not open totally. As you are aware, you have to apply, and we filter out. If we don't think that this person is not a correct person to take our free modules, we don't allow it. So there are people who have rejected, and after that, of course, it's free. What motivated us to do two things. Number one, how to give back to the startup ecosystem, where we are so passionate about it. We are working 24 by 7 in the startup ecosystem. And number two, I think one of the things which you feel for young founders are they may be passionate, but how to convert that passion to a business idea sounds very easy. It is not. Hopefully, Gurukul will be your catalyst to convert your great idea to a business idea. They're two different things: a great idea and a great business idea.
That's true. That's true. And it is helping in that.
That's
To
right.
be honest, it is helping and playing a great journey over there. Also, sir, it's just a question that that we recently saw that Facebook changed its name from Facebook to Meta, and it's being from the journey of transformation of web from 2.0 to 3.0. So web Facebook has been also participating there. So how do you consider that being the web 3.0 or the metaverse out there, that how it will be affecting the startups in the gaming space as well as in the different spaces that are SaaS or anything like that?
I think reinvention is critical for any startup, any company. You have to, however successful you have to reinvent. If you failed, certainly you have to reinvent. But more important, whenever you're successful, you have to reinvent. All this and more, actually, I've covered in my book. I've written a book on business strategy called Bond, BOND to Bond to Baba. It's on Amazon. So you can see more details in the book. I have written about all of this reinvention. So yes, all these things, nothing is static. All these things will only help to take an exciting journey forward.
Exactly, the startups can go out to the Amazon and they can buy out the same book. And the I what I felt by a person, that it is easy for a founder to become such a person like Mark Zuckerberg, but it is difficult to maintain that position over there.
Yeah. So that's why reinvention is critical when you're successful. Yeah,
That's
absolutely right. Absolutely.
that's true, sir. Also, sir, you talked about the wealth part that the startup founders should be focusing on, rather than becoming rich versus the becoming wealth. That a book named as Rich Dad Poor Dad gives a clarity a lot about the same. But I see founders that are in a hurry of everything, because the wealth is a long term game. It's basically a compounding game that generates over a years, and the founders are in a hurry. So what the advice would you be giving to them for creating the wealth?
So let me kind of articulate further. When I say wealth doesn't mean one need not look at becoming rich. What I meant was basically you are not going to get income levels which you would have got taking up a regular job. So the monthly on 30th or 31st or 28th or 29th of the month, your happiness which was there because nice juicy amount hit your deposit in your bank account. That's not how startup works. That's what I meant by not a journey of income. You can become rich and wealthy, but it takes time. It takes time. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. So, sir, if we have discussed about startups, we have discussed about investing space, and also the space question. So, so now, if there is an early founder who is just becoming a startup in the schooling space, not even in the college, and because being in the school now, there are open the opportunities like Eureka Junior is also there for the startups to help them. And in the schooling space, how do you consider that person or that child should go ahead with the startup, or he should continue focusing right now on his study? If he's a 13-14-year-old guy, should he focus on the study, or should he continue with the startups, or build both things simultaneously if he can?
I think at that age, startup may not be easy, but maybe what one could do is kind of dip your toes into some entrepreneurial related activity. Making something, selling something, just kind of getting a hang of businesses, what you can do at that age.
Exactly, getting the taste of what the things
Correct,
are.
correct.
Because right now there are founders usually get motivated by the few who get started early or who build something great stuff, and they start doing in their way rather than building their own way, which actually works. So that part I see that most founder are stuck in.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Yes, sir. So sir, that's you help founders in giving the first check, and you also help the founders that the I consider as a major part to be a part of, if anyone is there and is a part of 100x, that you also help in the future raising amounts that they do in the demo days. So can you just highlight that part
So
on
what
the?
we do is we are a discovery platform. We get tons of pitch deck. We go through them. We select some founders. We give them our first check on iSafe note. Then we take them through master classes, and then we make them pitch on pitch day, in which thousands of investors attend online, and that helps them to raise the next round of funding. And then the journey takes off like a rocket. So we are a springboard on the basis of which they can take off like a rocket. And then at each stage, we do mentoring to keep helping them to keep growing.
The mentoring part also continues after they have the
That's
raise.
right. That's right.
That's a great opportunity for the founders to get mentored after
Sure,
that
sure,
too.
sure.
Yes, sir. So we discussed about the founders part and majorly considered everything in that space. But the one question that is left is that what is the time period to which the next founder should reach out for the funding? Suppose a founder has raised its first check. What is the time period that the founder should go for the next round?
No, that's not an easy question to answer. It depends on your cash flow. You have to ensure that you don't have a cash out situation. And typically, you have to ensure that you raise at least 3 to 6 months before your cash out. So it takes that much time. So it depends on the startup.
That's true. That's true. And so, you shared about that if you were the 20-year person and you would give the advice. But suppose some bunch of founders reaches out to you who do not know anything and just offer you as being an advisor or mentor to them. So what would you consider in them? What would you look for?
Well, outside of 100x, check my diary and see if you get time. If you get time, you can block it. It's not possible. I have 60 startups. We're finalizing the next 10. It's simply not possible to be an advisor to anyone. I can only give you the most important thing which I can give you: good wishes and blessings.
That's the major thing that the startups need in their journey. So, sir, it was great having you on the podcast and discussing about the stuff that we did, about the startups, about the investment journey, about building cool stuffs, and also knowing what would be the one word that you would say if you were in the space. So it was pleasure talking to you, sir, and sharing your insights on the art platform.
Pleasure talking to you as well. All the very best for all that you're doing. Keep
Yeah,
doing.
thank you, sir.